Our next guests are here to drop some knowledge on the home selling process. Give it up for the broker of Lepe 10-Wheel Properties, Voltaire Lepe, and his guest, co-host of Home Seller University, Sfrancisco.
All right, welcome back to the show. How y'all doing?
Doing good.
Doing good.
Lepe 10-Wheel Properties in the house.
Yes, we are.
Talking about today topic that's very important in every market for home sellers to know what's going on, to have a clue, essentially, before they hit the marketplace, before they start looking for an agent, in fact. It's very important in this market that we're in right now, as it always is. Let's first talk about the whys. So, you've created a video series.
Correct.
Right, Voltaire?
Yes.
Why did you do that?
In real estate, over the last 14 years, I've noticed that a lot of home sellers aren't property educated. A lot of them, and buyers, I ask them, hey, do you know how we get paid? They go, no. You know what's going on with your home or how to sell it? And they're just, well, we put a sign up and it's sold. So I think it's very, we have to educate sellers because it's probably one of the biggest financial decisions they're ever going to make in their life. Selling a $300,000 home, selling a $700,000 home, whatever price it is. It's not like going down to Nordstrom's and, buying some jeans, right? It's an actual huge decision, and you should be educated. And even though, there's a lot of good real estate agents out there that you could hire and they could do it for you, it's still good to know how the process works.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so you've created, it's at homesellerschool.com is where the video series is. So
Yeah.
anyone can access it.
Yeah, so you could go homesellerschool.com, fill in your information, and then you have instant free access. And you could basically, it's like a home seller university. You could go on there and just find out exactly, how to sell a home, what goes in it, how to get top dollar, or whatever's important to you. Some people just want a fast, quick sell because they need to be somewhere else. Other people just want top dollar. Other people, they don't want any headaches when selling. So whatever you want, you can learn there.
Okay,
Right.
and I think you're right, because a lot of times what I see when I talk to a lot of home sellers when casting for Win This Listing, and sometimes they're just, they're way out there. So I think it's great that you guys have done this.
For sure.
Because this is, when you're selling your home, you're also cashing in on your investment too. So it's right at this moment here, the decisions that you make are so crucial, they're going to determine exactly what you walk away with.
Correct.
Exactly.
And a $20,000 mistake is a lot of times $20,000 that directly does not go into your bank account, that could have.
Right.
Exactly.
So it's really, really big. Sydney, what are some of the main points here?
When we started filming this, I think as a person who hopefully will want to be our first-time home buyer in a few years, I actually learned a lot just from kind of being his host. Every episode that we filmed, there was something new that I learned. So this series is going to cover all of the do's and don'ts, everything that you didn't think about, it's all in there. And I think that we had a lot of fun doing it too.
Yeah, for sure. It was a lot of fun. And, going through this, as Sydney was hosting the show, I could really see, she was asking really good questions. And I think she saw a lot of value
Definitely.
in these episodes that we created.
Yeah.
And she kind of didn't even know that there's so much to actually selling a home.
Mm-hmm.
Let's try to get to some of those points, some of the top ones. What are some of the things, Voltaire, that you could give us today? Maybe some of the main topics that you covered at Home Seller School.
So I think the biggest thing, because I like sleeping good at night, right? And if I sell a home, help a seller sell their home, I don't want to get a phone call 6 months later, a year later, because something that wasn't done right, the home wasn't sold properly. So the first thing, I think, one of the biggest things is the legal aspects of just
100%.
protecting yourself when selling your home, disclosing everything that you're supposed to disclose per California state law. For example, I was with a seller yesterday, and we're going through the process of listing their home, getting all the paperwork signed, and I have a checklist. And in the checklist, I found out that someone had passed away in the property in the last few months. So by law they have to disclose that.
Yep.
And then it's one of those things where it's a skillful act of trying to market and sell that property and not scare away a lot of buyers. Number one. Number two, not taking less money than what they could get, because whenever someone passed away in a property, I could definitely see. I've seen people lose money or their property worth less. But so you need a lot of skill to sell that type of property. So long story short, I told them, hey, we have to disclose this. And their first thing was, well, yeah, they're like, well, we're gonna get less, and do we have to tell them how they passed away?
Yeah.
And, I told them a story about a property I sold in the Kearney Mesa area where the person actually ended up committed suicide. And we got top dollar for that home, believe it or not. But I told them, hey, don't worry about it. We're going to disclose it properly. We're going to market it properly, and you're going to get top dollar. So I think just protecting yourself, the legal aspect is one huge thing.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that was one thing that I didn't know either. The disclosures part was the best part for me because that was the main points that I really didn't know, that there was so many things that you needed to disclose, that being one of them.
For sure. Another thing, if we could jump into like a second topic,
Sure.
Which is covered in the home seller series, by the way. Every episode is a different topic. So another topic is leaving money on the table. There's a lot of sellers that just leave a lot of money on the table when selling their home. Same home I went in yesterday, right? I was meeting with them. They said, well, we met with 2 other realtors, and the other 2 realtors told us that we could just sell it as is. We don't have to worry about it. They could sell it tomorrow. And I said, hey, I could do that too. And if you hired me to do that, I'll do it. But if you do these items, it was like some painting in one of the bathrooms. It was some carpet throughout the home because it hadn't been upgraded since like the 70s. And it was a little bit of cleanup, a lot of cleanup, right? And I said, if you do these things, you could put another $10,000 to $15,000 in your pocket, right? And no one else shared that with them, right? And I remember myself being a young realtor, I would go in there and just, hey, let's sell it the way it is. If we sell fast, we get paid fast, everyone's happy, right? But what I wasn't thinking is, because, let's say a $500,000 sale like this house is, $500,000 seems like a lot. So when you think, well, if we do all these items and wait another month or two, you can make another $10,000 to $15,000. $10,000 to $15,000 doesn't sound like much in the grand scheme of things. So, being a home seller, if you find out how to not leave money on the table through this video series, then that's another $10,000 to $15,000. That could buy a lot of money.
Yeah.
I mean, a lot of items.
Yeah, no question. Especially because, like you said, that's when you're cashing out on this investment. You want to maximize that.
Yeah.
For sure.
If you've lived in the house 20 years, 30, 40 years, wouldn't you want to take another month or 2 to squeeze that extra little bit of water out of the washcloth?
Yeah, it's not even
get
a
little bit
bit.
more money in your
yeah.
pocket.
Yeah, you have to do it. I mean, it's also good for the neighborhood. It's good
Right.
for the neighbors. It's good for everybody. The buyers too. You're probably going to get walk-in buyers, family versus an investor or something in that situation too.
Yeah, and,
So
and
those
in
are all
that
good things.
in that video series, we talk about the staging part of it. Do you need to stage it? If so, can it just be like rearranging the furniture, not hiring a company to come in there and do it? We talk about cleaning it. We talk about the condition of the property, making some minor repairs and things like that. We talk about pricing it right to get top dollar, which is huge. We talk about the negotiation. So there's a lot that goes into just that one episode on not leaving money on the table.
I think everybody should watch that episode.
For sure. It's
Because
one of the
when you're
most
selling,
important ones.
no one wants to leave money on the table.
Nope.
So, homesellerschool.com. Can you give us one more, Voltaire, maybe?
Sure. So another one that we had talked about was just being efficient as a seller and getting it sold right the first time.
Yeah, so that's doing your due diligence
Right.
and finding the right agent.
Yeah, the right agent, picking the right buyer, right? So in this market right now, as a home seller, you're getting a lot of offers on your home, and it's always choosing the right one. So the right one might not be, the one that's 10,000 above everyone else, right? So you got to pick a strong buyer, a buyer that's very serious, and because if not, you could go 2-3 weeks into an escrow, the buyer cancels, and all of a sudden you just lost 2-3 weeks. You go back on the market, and all the other buyers and agents are saying, "What's wrong with that property? How come it, didn't sell? It looks like it's 30 days on the market now because somebody just ate up 2 to 3 weeks of your marketing time." So just being efficient, having a checklist while in escrow and before that, you ask the other party, that you ask the sellers to make sure there isn't anything that pops up at the end of escrow that's going to allow for your deal to cancel.
Right, and I think that was the episode where we asked the question, can you time escrow? Is there like an actual timeline for escrow? And the answer technically is no, because you never know what's going to happen. But if you go through this checklist and you do all of these things and you're working with the right person, then you kind of can time it and you can be efficient when you're doing it too.
Yeah, you definitely give yourself an advantage.
Yes.
Versus a disadvantage. Lack of knowledge, disadvantage. have knowledge advantage, and that's what it's all
Yes.
about. Homesellerschool.com. This is free, right, for people to
Absolutely
check this video out?
free, no obligation. You just go on there and you just learn. You know, if you like it, share it with, you know, anyone else that's thinking about selling. So, you know, I urge everybody to go out there, educate themselves because it's free, no matter who they're working with, whatever agent, or they're trying to sell it themselves. We actually have an episode on selling it yourself.
We do.
So we just try to give out as much free education as possible.
Great stuff. Thank you guys so much for coming on today and doing all this hard work. This is really good stuff. Homesellerschool.com. And as promised, we will be back to make you smarter than everyone else. Stick around.